Hey guys, Alex from Work & Co over here. Today we're doing a slightly different video. Nothing major, no major departure from the norm, but rather I'm doing a top 10 list of specifically the 10 games that are due to come out in 2020, at least as of now, that I am most excited about in terms of what's coming out. Now specifically, the reason this is a little different from the norm is I'm specifically excluding Kickstarter games with one kind of half exception thrown in. This is not all those giant miniature crazy Kickstarter games with tons of components, tons of this Seventh Continents, Unsettled, Project Elite, whatever they are. This is specifically retail games, again with one half exception thrown in. Now, starting off the list from the bottom of the list, we have Perseverance Castaway Chronicles, which you can currently see here on my screen. Perseverance is a bit of an interesting one in the sense that it simultaneously, and this is why it's the lowest on the list, it simultaneously has me incredibly intrigued and incredibly wary. This is a dice placement game. This is it's a series of sagas or episodes or whatnot that unfolds through. It's a whole story-based game, which I don't usually love story-based games, which is why I'm more intrigued about a story-based game with this as the premise. But it has these aspects of dice placement or dice drafting that looks intriguing. Even the map, even the picture. If you look here at the screen right now, you can see the picture of it. This is simultaneously interesting and a turnoff. I'm almost more curious to see this just out of curiosity as opposed to being particularly engaged with it. You have these miniatures going on over here. You have an area of placement. It looks like a mess, and I can't tell if it's going to be a mess that I enjoy or a mess that I don't, which is why it's number 10 on the list. Next up, we have Tekhenu. I'm probably butchering the name. Tekhenu, Obelisk of the Sun. This is by Daniele Tassini and David Turci. Now, I've talked in the past about certain Italian designers, but there are certain specific Italian designers that, it might be just offensive, I guess, to label them all, but there's 4 or 5 designers that have worked together on a variety of projects, from Solkin, from blanking name, Lorenzo El Magnifico, from the one with the Grand Austria Hotel, Coimbra, which I love. There are a lot of these Euro games that are done by these designers working in these different pairs. Like one time it'll be 2 of them, the next time it'll be one and the other, and then they kind of cycle, but they clearly work together producing these at Solkin. I said Solkin, forget that. They clearly work together producing these incredible Euro games that are very heavy, very deep, have a lot going on in terms of just everything, the thinkiness. And so far, having played a whole bunch of them. I haven't played Voyages of Marco Polo yet, although I really do want to. It's on my shelf waiting to be played. But they're so far incredibly. All of them have been enjoyable to a degree. I haven't kept all, but they have been enjoyable to a degree, and Coimbra is in my top 10 games of all time. I absolutely love Coimbra. That's my personal favorite. I don't think it's generally considered to be the best, but Voyages to Marco Polo is definitely one I heavily want to get to the table, which means anything by this team is something that I want to check out. Doesn't mean I'll love it, doesn't mean it'll be in my collection, but it certainly would be a game I want to check out. Next up on the list, we have, let's see, I skipped the picture. Here we go, a little picture. Got an Obelisk here. I don't know how well that will play out in terms of whether that'll obstruct view of the board. It may, whatever it is, even if it does, it's probably something you can just take out. And this is a good time to say that I really don't know much about most of the games on this list. If there are blog posts, articles, dev diaries, videos going into how these games are played or what's going on with them, I haven't done the research. I tend to be interested in games. I don't tend to do huge deep dives into what a game is about before I get it. Kickstarter games are a bit of an exception. Usually there's just a reason I'm intrigued. So like I said, for this one, it's primarily the designers. In fact, a bunch of the ones on this list are going to be the designers or spiritual successors or the like. Next up on the list, we have Viscounts of the West Kingdom. And thank you to whoever commented on one of my previous videos and one of the Kickstarter roundups. I said Viscounts because I did not know that Viscounts was how you say that, So sue me. I read a lot. I don't always say the words I read. But anyways, this is the exception in terms of the Kickstarter game. And the reason I was willing to include on the list is because even though this series of games they have historically gone to Kickstarter first. They have done all the games come with a little Kickstarter version. It's not one I think of as a Kickstarter game typically. This is a retail game that goes through Kickstarter first. So I made it an exception for the purposes of my list, but it is what it is. In any case, Viscounts of the West Kingdom. So this is not the first. Sorry, this is the first but not the last game on this list. That is a game I'm interested in, specifically because it's part of something that I don't like myself or don't love myself, but many others do. Now, specifically, what I mean by that is this game, the Architects of the West Kingdom, Paladins of the West Kingdom, Raiders of the North Sea, the whole series, or at least those ones which I've played. I haven't played the originals. I've played Raiders, Architects, and Paladins. And I have enjoyed them all, and I felt the need to keep none of them. None of them to me blew my mind. They were all progressively better as I played them. They all did things incredibly well, but none of them in any way truly resonated with me as a game that I have to play this, I have to keep this. This is a game I really can't wait until I play it again, or any of that stuff. They were all good, but not great to me. That being said, lots of people love them. And since they have progressively gone up in my own scale as I've played each one, I've enjoyed this series more and more. I am specifically very interested in trying out Viscounts. Don't know anything about it. Don't know how it's going to play. Don't know what it's going to be like. But I can tell you that it looks interesting. And it continues to be from a series of well-done games. I have no doubt I will enjoy playing it. The only question, the big doubt, is will I keep it? But I tend to specifically seek out. I've had this issue with Tapestry as well, where I was very excited about Tapestry from Stonemaier Games, despite not really liking any of their previous games. And the reason is because whenever there's a well-regarded series of games, whenever there's a well-regarded game, I usually want to be part of that buzz. I want to be part of the story, the narrative, the why do so many people enjoy this game. This isn't like a movie where I feel the need to enjoy the latest summer blockbuster. I tend to regard gamers, all of us, as already having a refined palate, so to speak. Our palates will differ, but I already view it as a refined palate. I don't view it as the general masses or whatnot. This isn't like Monopoly is loved, but rather we all have a level of expectation. And so when there's a good game, I want to like it. And if I don't like it, I want to like the next one. I'm always intrigued by what it is that makes one person like a game and another person not like a game. So anyways, Viscounts, I'm intrigued to play it. Next up, and along those lines, we have Mariposas. I have no clue I'm pronouncing that correctly or not, but Mariposas is by Elizabeth Hargrave, who did Wingspan. Now, this is not being done with Stonemaier Games, it's being done with AEG, but this game, it looks interesting. I don't know anything about it. She's going again with that nature aspect, butterflies this time, as opposed to birds. But first of all, butterflies I find more engaging than birds. That being said, Wingspan did very well despite the theme, or maybe because of the theme, I shouldn't say despite. Wingspan, despite the theme being criticized by many, did incredibly well. So yes, I am very much looking forward to what she does next. I didn't particularly love Wingspan. I felt Everdell did the same but better, and even with Everdell, I'm not sold on whether I'm keeping it or not, but it's still in my collection for now. But Wingspan was a game that but it was good. I enjoyed playing it. I liked it. I would happily play it again. I just felt Everdell did the same thing but better. And by the way, the general opinion is Wingspan's higher, so this my taste versus the average on Board Game Geek. But that being said, very, very interested in playing Mariposas by Elizabeth Hargrave, just because of the name. You know, because she could have been a one-hit wonder. She could be an amazing, fantabulous designer. Don't know. We'll find out we'll find out over time. But for my own taste, I'm intrigued of playing Mariposas. Let's take a look at another picture here. See, look at this. It just looks pretty. I like this a lot. I didn't have as much of a problem with the theme of Wingspan, actually, but I found the artwork and style very, very dry. I didn't particularly like it. In any case, moving on from there, we have My City. My City is by Reina Knizia, and this blends two of my favorite things in board games. It blends a legacy-style game, which I love legacy-style games. I will play subpar legacy games because I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the process. I'm in the middle of playing Charterstone right now. I find it okay. I don't find it amazing, but I like the process. It's kind of just like going for a walk. It's my version. It's the board game equivalent of a walk. I enjoy the process no matter how, not no matter, but I will give a game a lot of points just for being a legacy game. But in terms of My City combines legacy games, but it also combines tiling. It combines tiling, which is another one of my favorite things. I love polyomino games. I really enjoy polyomino games. I've enjoyed Isle of Cats. My favorite one is Barren Park. I love playing Indian Summer. I like Patchwork. All the polyomino games are games that I generally find I enjoy. I don't necessarily love them, but it's a good mechanic. Or it's a good mechanic for me. And a polyomino game combined with a legacy game, I mean, sign me up right here, right now. Now, I already saw, there was already one review that came out from Board Game Geek, actually, from, blanking on his name, sorry about that. But there was already a review, a rundown of the game, and an opinion that was good, but not necessarily great, and that's fine. But first of all, like I said, legacy game for me, good but not great is good enough. I will be in on this, and I can't wait to play it. So that is My City by Reina Knizia. And I shouldn't say generally. I was going to say I generally like Reina Knizia's games, but he has so many games, and so many of them are duds, but so many of them are amazing. But amongst my favorite games, I have some Reina Knizia games. Next up, we have Mercado de Lisboa. Now, Mercado de Lisboa is the most interesting blend of things you would not expect to hear in one sentence, and that is specifically, it is a gateway filler game by Vital Lacerda. I'm going to say that again because this blows my mind. It is a gateway filler game by Vital Lacerda. That just hasn't happened. Now, I don't know much about the game yet. In fact, even the pictures are fairly minimal. We have, this one over here, which is nothing much going on here. We have another one. Again, this doesn't tell me anything. These are obviously computer graphic components, but we don't know anything about the game itself yet. But again, it's a gateway filler games by Vital. It just blows my mind. Vital Lacerda is a designer who designs some of the heaviest games currently out there. I currently have Escape Plan on my shelf, as well as Lisboa, and neither one have gotten to the table yet. I definitely want to get to the table, but they haven't yet. They're very heavy, very meaty, and the idea of a gateway game by him, I am so pulled in and intrigued to try it out. Next up, we have, and I forgot to mention, this list does not have expansions with this exception. It doesn't have Kickstarters with one exception, and doesn't have expansions with one exception. This is an expansion. This is Marvel Champions, the card game, but the Rise of the Red Skull expansion. And the reason I was willing to include this compared to others is a combination of two things. First of all, selfishly, I'm really enjoying Marvel Champions. I have progressively gone from being okay with it, to liking it, to deciding to keeping it, to really, 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 really liking it. I don't know to tell you, every time I play Marvel Champions, I find it to be a fun experience. It also falls under that take a walk experience, meaning it's procedural. I go through it. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. I definitely make decisions along the way, but I like playing it out. It's this one I would say is more the board game equivalent of a beat 'em up fun, B movie. It's not the most engaging, incredible whatever, but I enjoy playing it. I enjoy Marvel Champions. I enjoy playing it. I'm always happy to bring it to the table. And so that's one, was the personal reason. And then two was because this completely changes Marvel Champions by making it legacy. It gives a campaign aspect to the game, and it mixes it up in that sense. Obviously going to have more cards, more scenarios, more whatever, but it makes a campaign out of it, and I'm intrigued by that. When comparing Marvel Champions to Arkham Horror, the card game, I currently prefer Marvel Champions, but Arkham Horror does have a campaign aspect that Marvel doesn't. Marvel feels like it has, to me at least, it's better than Arkham Horror in most ways. But in one way, Arkham Horror is better, in which that it feels more like a story. And Marvel Champions does not feel like a story, not in the slightest. It is scene by scene, scene by scene. So I am super excited for the Rise of the Red Skull expansion. Rest assured, I'll be getting that as soon as it comes out and adding it to my admittedly lacking Marvel Champions collection. Some of those packs, I got into the game late and just never got some of those packs yet. Next on the list, and this technically would have been number one, but it's not because of another caveat, which is the 2020. All these games are coming out in 2020, and they're not Kickstarters and they're not expansions, but one exception to each. Pandemic Legacy Season 3 was supposed to come out in 2020. I don't believe there's currently a firm date on it right now. With the event, with COVID-19, they announced that they're pushing it off to an extent. I don't know for how long, I don't know when. I included it anyway because it was on my list when I did this. When I put together this list, it was on it, but it may or may not actually be in 2020 at this point. I'd probably guess it's going to be in 2021, and because of that, I had to push it down 2 slots because I can't put a game as my number 1 spot on games coming out in 2020 if it's not even coming out in 2020. So we'll see. But Pandemic Legacy, as I already said in this video a few times, I enjoy Legacy games. I enjoy the process. I enjoy the experience. And from Legacy games, Pandemic Legacy Season 1 and Season 2 have been my favorite Legacy games for sure. Not even a question. I have played Pandemic Legacy Season 1 twice now. I currently have another copy of Pandemic Legacy Season 2, and I'll be playing that again. So that's the second time for that. And with new people. I'm not willing to do the same thing with the same people, but with new people involved. And when Pandemic Legacy Season 3 comes out, you can bet that I will be playing it. It is the Legacy game that made Legacy games popular. It's not the first one, but it's the one that made them popular, and for good reason. This was number 1 on Board Game Geek until Gloomhaven came and knocked it off. And it's just not because it's the best game, but it was an incredibly well done game combined with that story narrative Legacy style gameplay. Did a phenomenal job, and I can't wait for Season 3. I prefer Season 1, my wife prefers Season 2, but we'll see what happens after Season 3 comes out. Number 2 on this list is Alma Mater. Alma Mater is by the same people who did Coimbra. Remember how I said those Italian designers? Here we go. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the names. Whole bunch of them over here. They were the same people who did Coimbra, and I don't know how much is known about this game yet, but it so far seems to be a spiritual successor to Coimbra. I mean, this is not just the same designers, but it's using the same art and the same, almost the board itself looks very akin to Coimbra. This is a game that I'm super excited about because of how much I like Coimbra. Coimbra, like I said, is my top 10. It will, unless this year is crazy, it's probably going to stay in my top 10. some of my top 10 games have actually filtered out already. They're not filtered out completely, but they filtered out of the top 10. Versus this one, I can't imagine it leaving. Every time I play Coimbra, I find it super tight. I mean, lots of Euro games are tight, but this one is so... I don't know. I don't know all the verbs I can say in this video, but I really, really enjoy playing Coimbra, and I enjoy the interplay. Coimbra has incredible interplay. That's the word I would use to describe it. It has some of the most elegant interplay that I've ever seen from any game. It's the interplay that I love, and I'm intrigued to see what will happen with Alma Mater. Could be a terrible game. No idea. I mean, sequels aren't always great for a reason, because every movie, every game, every book has a certain chance of how good it will or won't be. And when you have a sequel to that movie, book, game, video, whatever it is, you're basically hoping that lightning will strike twice. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm not going to let my hopes get me up, but I am looking forward to it. And finally, number one on this list we know nothing about, or at least I know nothing about, is Castles of Tuscany. The Castles of Tuscany, all I needed to know about this before putting it as my number one was it re-implements the Castles of Burgundy. This is by Stefan Feld, and it re-implements, here we go, is a standalone game that might resemble the Castles of Burgundy in some way. Could you be any more vague? I mean, I guess they could, but I love the Castles of Burgundy. It did not make its way into my top 20 games of all time last year. It really should, honestly. I probably should bump it up again. Every time, I've had that game since 2012, and it has staying power, and every time I play it, I love playing it. It also has that word, interplay, and I love the interplay of the different... Yes, Stefan Feld is the king of point salad. He does a million things that are point salad-y, but the elegance and the interplay of the Castles of Burgundy has consistently put it in my favorite games. Each time I play it, I'm reminded why I like it that much, why I should keep playing it, and the idea that they're putting out a new game, a Castles of Tuscany, hopefully with better artwork than Castles of Burgundy 1 and Castles of Burgundy 2, but that I want to play Castles of Tuscany. I'm super excited for it. It might be a horrible game. It happens. But in terms of this whole list is not about games that are good. This whole list is the games that I am most excited about and why, and the Castles of Tuscany is the game I am most excited about, except for Pandemic Legacy Season 3, but that might not be in 2020. Anyways, that's this list. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of this, or learned something about new games. I remember the first time I found out about what was it? The one that particularly blew my mind was Mercado de Lisboa. When I first found out about Mercado de Lisboa and the fact that Vital Lacerda was doing a 15-minute game, 15 to 30 minutes, whatever, but it was insane. So, I mean, if you learned anything on this list, if there's a game now that you're looking forward to that you didn't know about before, let me know. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these you just found out about now from this video and are now looking forward to. Until next time, I'm Alex from Board Game Co. As usual, the usual stuff, you can subscribe down below, ring the bell for notifications, you can head on over to Board Game Co. You could buy a board game, you can like, comment, share this video with someone who loves a Lacerda game or who loves Castles of Burgundy. Go ahead, share them, introduce them to the channel, all that stuff. And until next time, I'm Alex. Have a good one.